this Tuesday. I'm Alex Wilson.
And I'm Dave Schwartz. Also tonight, we're on alert for even more severe weather. 40 million people at risk. So stay with us and we'll keep you informed. But let's begin with what we know here at the top of the hour.
Thank you so much, Dr. Forbes. And we've already seen the wettest month, not the wettest May, the wettest month on record for cities like Oklahoma City, Fort Smith, Arkansas, and Wichita Falls, Texas. Many looking at about an inch over in Wichita Falls, but many of these cities beating it by numerous inches, about 3 inches into Fort Smith, Arkansas, and nearly, or actually over 4 inches, you beat it for Oklahoma City. So we have just totally broken records, shattered records as far as rainfall goes, and that's why we've got so many rivers in flood. Major purple, moderate in red. These are all the river gauges from parts of South Texas through Oklahoma that are dealing with the flooding problems. There's our storms that are pretty isolated at this point, have brought some flash flooding warnings. Also, a tornado warned storm there well off to the west of Dallas. Could see a little more, as Dr. Forbes said, fill in, and as he said, it only takes one storm to produce heavy rainfall over saturated ground and you get flash flooding, and that is exactly the case here for Stevens and Young counties in Texas. Again, Fort Worth off towards the east, Graham, Newcastle, you're going to be watching for that flash flooding. Nearly 3 inches of rain in just 3 hours. So this has been a slow moving storm that has brought a lot of rain. Dave, looking at the water vapor imagery, look at all of that over Houston last night and into the morning, and now we're seeing a little bit more fill in west of Fort Worth. But there was no tornado warning for the area. But here's a look at some of the damage reports that have come in around the Beaver Creek area. Notice that's just off towards the south and east of the Dayton area. And a few other reports. Report of a roof torn off a house on Wallbridge Trail. Time estimated from radar. So these storms, whether or not they were packing straight line winds, or perhaps we saw a spin up on that line of thunderstorms that did produce a tornado, for a short-lived tornado, I should say, will remain to be seen, but seeing significant damage in the area. We do still have a severe thunderstorm warning off towards the east of Cincinnati. You notice that's off well to the south of 71, and then a few other warnings. This one just south of Toledo. We're going to take a closer look at this one for Sandusky, Seneca, and Wood County. Includes the city of Bowling Green, Fostoria, and Perrysburg. Goes until 6:30, so we'll watch for damaging winds, perhaps some hail within that one. This is now moving off towards the north of Findlay. Another severe warning off to the southwest of Akron. And then we've got another one here in West Virginia, central and north part of the state. This one could produce some hail, some gusty winds as well. Now it's west of 79. So, but 119, you're traveling that home through Calhoun, Gilmer, and Ritchie County around the Grantsville area. It is going to cause you some trouble. This warning southwest of Akron for Wayne County until 6:45. Also, the potential for hail, strong winds, and very, very heavy rainfall, Dave.
Much has been made of all the flooding in Houston that occurred last night and this morning, but that's not the only city dealing with flooding. South of Austin, Texas, in Wimberley, the Blanco River crested, spilling its banks, and it came up fast. Widespread damage to homes, people missing, and unfortunately some deaths. Yeah,
and that's the most devastating thing, I think, for these families, with these missing adults and children, the whole not knowing, but unfortunately fearing the worst. Our own Jay Gray, or NBC's Jay Gray, is there. We're borrowing him for a little bit. You know, he's been touring these incredible scenes, Jay. I mean, we're talking about places where people would go for a relaxing vacation. Areas once again. Watching Texas, you know, we've seen some spotty showers down around the coastal areas. We've seen some storms near San Angelo and those big ones off towards the west of Fort Worth. They had a tornado warning earlier, still have the flash flood warning into Palo Pinto County and then up into Stevens County as well. Look at this, in 3 hours, 4 inches just off to the northeast of Breckenridge. So it's been a slow-moving storm, bringing torrential rainfall at times, and we've got a lot of rain in a short period of time in an already saturated area, and that just, as Dr. Forbes said, is the equation for flooding, the formula for flooding. Major flooding in all the areas you see the purple, moderate where you see the red. So it's an issue across Oklahoma, across Texas. Many of these counties, all in Oklahoma, under states of emergency. And tomorrow, we're going to add more severe storms into the mix for parts of north central Texas, much of Oklahoma and south central Kansas, as well as the Kansas-Colorado state line. On Thursday, we're watching western Kansas down through western Texas, where severe storms are possible, but scattered thunderstorms could fire into places like Dallas, Houston, Austin once again, and any thunderstorm. It doesn't have to be a severe storm to produce some very heavy rainfall rates, so that'll be a potential again Friday. Notice many of the same areas under the threat of at least scattered thunderstorms and showers. Through Friday, 3 to 5 inches right there along the Red River Valley into parts of Oklahoma, right along the Oklahoma-Arkansas state line, and one little area well off towards the west of Dallas. But for places from San Antonio up towards Austin, 1 to 2 additional inches possible, up to an inch in Houston, Dallas as well. So we're watching these saturated areas, Dave, where more. You've seen over 16 inches, almost 16 3/4 inches. In fact, started off the first 4 days of the month dry, but then on the 5th, over 3 3/4 inches. Then we saw several days of rain. The 13th over an inch, the 23rd an inch and a half, nearly 2.5 inches over that in the 17th, and on the 25th yesterday over 5. Wettest May on record for all of these cities. No question as to why we're having the flooding problems. Over 18 inches in